Hey guys, what's up? It's Cubus here. So, FIFA 16 has just been released and probably every die-hard fan has already bought it. But it may be interesting to see if the previous game is worth attention from more casual fans of virtual football. Let's see if FIFA 15 is patched. Just please bear in mind that I'm a casual fan of football, so the last game I played was FIFA 11. There isn't much that I can tell about the game design. It's a rather realistic football game, so what can you expect? But the game creators have gone a long way to make the game more interesting, mainly with additional game modes. First, there are two career modes. In one, you get to become a manager in a football club. In another, you create your own player and you can play controlling either just a player or a whole team as usual. And the last one utilizes RPG elements. The game requires you to perform certain action for a specified number of times, so stats of your player can grow. But the flagship mode of this franchise for the last few years has been an Ultimate Team. It's a mix of manager mode with trading card games. Basically, you get points for every match played based on your team's performance. Then you can spend the points you've earned either on cards sold by other players or on card packs where you get random cards. It may vary from cards that heal injuries, extend contracts, or give you new players. As a manager, you also have to keep in mind the match meter, which depends on your player's nationality or if they play on their positions. Last thing that I find really cool are little challenges that replaced loading screens before matches. You can practice things like dribbling or penalty kicks, and you compete with your friends with the score you've earned in this trial. It's a great way for a game to introduce a player to some of the more advanced tricks and controls, while still keeping the fun in it. I think that in terms of design, FIFA 15 is a good game, but it lacks something extra to be really great. I understand it's a football semi-simulator, but it could feature some crazy party minigames, a bit like those training sessions. But it still is a nice and fun game within its genre, so I'm awarding it with 8 points out of 10 for design.
Almost lost his footing. Keeps going, and that will be a goal kick. Well, let's just look at the detail of that, Alan.
Technically, the game is rather good. Just like the Mortal Kombat X, the game switches between 60 and 30 FPS, but FIFA does it much smarter so you don't see the transitions. While playing, when the camera is quite far away from the action, the frame rate is a solid 60. But on close-ups and replays, when it changes the camera angle, it switches to 30. It doesn't look so bad thanks to the animations that are shown in between, so you have much smaller chances to notice the transition. But the most impressive part is that collisions between players are dynamically generated. And it doesn't only influence the visuals, but also the game systems, as injuries are also dependent on them. For example, if a player crashes mid-air and he falls on his head, he will have his neck injured, not an ankle. But although the collisions work great, they don't look so good on close-ups. You get a feeling that players are covered with a force field of a sort, because they don't seem to directly hit each other. And the animations look a bit like if the footballers were weightless. Players also seem to be floating a little above the ground, which also breaks the immersion. It isn't so conspicuous when the camera floats high in the air, but on the close-ups it really feels a little unnatural. And the last thing I want to mention is a bug I got in a career mode. I created a player and as a novice I was selected to play only once in my first season. On the second season I was lent to another club and I wasn't selected even once. I read about it on the internet. It seems that this problem is in the series for years, and in theory it's a feature. The new club picks you, although they play in formation without your position. But, as it is completely illogical of the manager to borrow a player to keep him on the bench the whole season, I qualify it as a bug, and it's a big one. All in all, FIFA 15 performs quite well, but I think that it's still far from perfect, thus I rate its technicalities at 6 points out of 10. And how about its business side? Well, for a start, I really don't like the yearly release schedule. Not mentioning that over the years newer installments were released earlier and earlier. We still have over 3 months of 2015 and FIFA 16 is already out. I would like to see EA trying to change it. Give free updates to squads, but release new game only when there is some significant change, so it would keep the online players base bigger. I know that accountants would perform exorcism on anyone who would propose such an idea, but then again, I wouldn't even mind some small microtransactions for unlocking new stadiums or costumes. But does that mean that microtransactions aren't here at all? Oh no, they are, and that's one of the worst ones I've seen in a AAA game ever. You can buy a premium currency to buy the cards packs I've mentioned earlier, and microtransaction prices vary from just 99 cents to a whopping 99.99. And to make matters worse, I think that the Ultimate Team mode is a little unbalanced to make players buy the packets. That's the worst case scenario for microtransactions, so putting it all together, I award this game 5 points out of 10 for its business side. All in all, FIFA 15 is a pretty good game. It isn't perfect in terms of technicalities, and the marketing scheme really bugs me. But with a total score of 19 out of 30 points, it's rather good. I think that the game is good enough to make it worth for non-hardcore players to buy. And those hardcore ones have already bought the next one. And as for me, I will be back for a next game in about 3 to 4 years. That's all for today. If you liked this review, please press the upvote button and don't forget to subscribe this channel and to follow Is It Patched on Facebook.
And it's come to an end here with the final whistle.